Welcome to Season 3 of Hines on Air, a new space for voices with something to say where conversations are recorded and remembered, hosted by Matt Hines.
Coming at you from Atlanta, Georgia, welcome to Hines on Air. Hey everybody, it is Matt Hines. We are back at you with another Hines on Air. It's an exciting guest today. This is Mr. Jim Effner. He is an expert in financial services and also on sales training, 27 years of experience. He's been part of some of the biggest corporations there are. He started his own Effner Financial Group that has over 150 full-time employees. They were managing over $27 billion in assets. So he's seen it all and he's done a lot. So welcome to the show, Jim.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome, man. Well, look, let me ask you this. One thing that impresses me, so you've done a lot with the stock market and investments and all, correct?
Yeah, you could say that.
I mean, the market seems to be almost independent of presidents and lots of things happening on Earth. I don't know. It just seems to consistently rise, no matter if Biden's in there, or whether Trump's messing around with tariffs or doing what he's doing. It seems to be pretty consistent, doesn't it?
Well, first of all, let me just clarify. I'm no subject matter expert on, the markets and all that kind of stuff specifically, but I've been in the financial services business for a long time. And what I would tell you is that what it is that you just said further proves my philosophy, and that is that market timing is impossible. I would say the greatest guru in this forever in my lifetime has been Warren Buffett. He would say that. Nobody knows really when it's going up, when it's going down, exactly why it happens, how it's going to happen. It's very unpredictable. But we've been in a bull market now for a long time.
We have.
Like you said, through Biden, through Trump, through tariffs, through inflation rising, and it's been seamless. But that's not going to last forever. But there's really no rhyme or reason as to what happens in one of them.
All right. So, Jim, looking forward to talking about the stock market. I think it's pretty fascinating. Whether we're with Biden, whether we're with Trump, I keep thinking Trump's tariffs might interfere with something and get people scared. I mean, I know it dropped it for a while, but overall, the stock market seems to act independent of presidents, Congress, companies, whatever. It kind of has its own strength. What's your opinion on that?
Well, certainly, first of all, I would just want to clarify, I'm not a subject matter expert on stock picking or the stock market or an analyst, right? But I've been in this industry for a long time. And what I've learned is that the market is very unpredictable. Nobody knows, even according to Warren Buffett, when it's going to go up, when it's going to go down, exactly why. There are factors that impact the market. There are driving elements that factor it. But, we've been in a bull market now for the better part of 10 years. And it's been through Biden, like you said. It's been through Trump. It's been through really bad inflation. It keeps going up. It's been through this massive tariff. It keeps going up. And that's not going to happen forever. But is it going to crash in 2026, 2027? I don't think anybody knows. And the reality is that's why market timing is so impossible.
Yeah. Most presidents seem to take credit for the stock market, but I don't know if they realize if they have any control or if they're actually influencing it all. I mean, I would tout it as my big victory too if I was president, but I don't really know if they're doing anything that's affecting it. It seems to have its own mind and body and spirit.
Yeah, I would say that would be true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But, just for clarification, what I do and what I teach and what I train and what I've been involved in for the better part of 37 years, you actually said 27. That makes me feel a lot younger. I wish it was 27, but I've been in this for 37 years. And so I'm 58 years old, almost 59, got into it at 22. And so over that period of time, what we're really into training, teaching, doing at a very high level is overall strategic financial planning, which is really having a philosophy, a plan, and a appropriate diversified portfolio to benefit and offset the unknown. So it's not like what we get involved with is, hey, Jim, what 3 stocks are really good right now that you should pick? I have no idea, right? But what I know how to create, what I know how to teach is how to build a plan, how to build a portfolio that over time is going to outpace the markets based on it being appropriately allocated in many different asset classes.
Got it. All right. So what would your portfolio consist of? I mean, I know you probably asked your client, Are you aggressive? Are you conservative? Are you what? You want more bonds? You want more stocks? Like, what's a typical portfolio for you look like?
Well, the reality is there's no typical one. And what you said is exactly right. And I don't just ask those questions because those questions at face value, like you just mentioned, are going to get very superficial, generic answers. We go through a very detailed profile that our clients fill out, and it goes deep. And it really helps them identify exactly what it is that is their risk profile. And what's fascinating by it is when you have a couple, let's just say it's a husband and wife, and you have the husband fill it out and you have the wife fill it out. What happens when they're very different, but yet they combine their assets? How do you put portfolios together for them? So what's important is that the underlying assets in a managed portfolio of a client is in alignment with their appropriate risk level. And in order to do that, you first and foremost have to identify what is that appropriate risk profile. And everybody is different. So there is no real typical profile.
So what do you do when the wife and husband and wife disagree?
Well, it's not really what you do. It's asking the right questions to figure out what they want you to do. And so first of all is helping, I kind of call it holding up a mirror. A lot of times when you meet with a couple and they go through this detailed deep dive risk profile, and you hold up the mirror at the end and show them what their appropriate risk profiles, that's the first time they've ever been aware of that.
Yeah.
And it might also be the first time they've known they were different. Like my wife and I, we've been married 35 years. We're different. I'm a lot more aggressive than she is. We know that, but without going through this profile, we wouldn't know it to the degree of detail. And so first and foremost, it's to create awareness. Hey, do you know this exists? This is where you are. This is where you are. How do you want to work through that? What funnel, what filter do you want to make decisions on? How do we go about doing this together? How do we meet in the middle? Do we separate our assets? And you ask good enough questions to get what's important to them.
Have you ever had them want to separate assets?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they just
Not
have two
necessarily in
portfolios?
everything. Not in everything, but like, for example, in their 401ks, that's really common. Like, hey,
Sure.
she wants to allocate her 401k this way, and he wants to allocate his 401k his way. But then they also have combined assets that are non-qualified, and those get a little bit more tricky. But yeah, we've had that happen.
Do you have anybody use real estate much, or are you all stocks, bonds, those kind of types of
Well,
instruments?
yeah, you have to understand that we deal very, 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 very small amount of individual equities. So are we into AI? Are we into real estate? Yeah, big time. But we're into it with managed funds. So for example, there are many, many, many real estate funds out there that are very well diversified in a broad style of the underlying asset is real estate, but not buying in an actual real singular building.
Right.
So do we have clients that own apartment buildings and they're a landlord and that's part of their portfolio? Absolutely. We
Yeah.
have that, but we don't get involved in that. But if we believe that real estate needs to be an asset allocation in a portfolio for a client, we would put that into an overall fund that specializes in managing commercial real estate.
Okay. You mentioned, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that feedback noise was that.
Dude, it keeps creeping up on us. I don't know what's going on, but we're trying to handle it as it comes. Let me ask you, you mentioned AI. And I had on my notes here, I wanted to ask you about it because supposedly the AI bubble might burst on us in the somewhat near future. You have any thoughts on that?
I have not heard that.
No?
I'm not an expert on it, but I find that relatively hard to believe. I mean, I have 3 kids. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 58. My generation, yeah, that makes sense. I got 3 kids that are 30, 27, and 25. They live in AI. My kids don't even Google anything anymore. They only use Chat GPT, right? I mean, everything they do. I'll give you a quick story. My middle daughter, my 27-year-old, buying a new car. I don't know why she didn't call me. Maybe I should think about that. But she calls her brother and says, hey, I'm about ready to buy this car. This is a contract I got on what they're going to give me on a trade-in. You think I'm getting a good deal? And he goes, I don't know jack squat about cars or deals, but here's what I would do. take a picture of the contract, put it in your chat GPT, and ask chat GPT if it's a good deal. And she did it, and instantly she got boom, 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 boom. This is a good deal. This is a good deal. You might be able to get more here. It was like in a second. That's how they live. I don't see that going away. I see that being a big deal.
I would agree with you, and I've done the same. We had we were hiring talent to be on one of our films one time, and they sent us their contract. I did the same on chat, and that's amazing because that was once upon a time that was a $2,000 service for an outside attorney office. Now ChatGPT does it in 15 seconds. But I mean, there was one AI company, I think they have not made a dime, and they were worth $1 billion. And they were saying, you know, it's like the .com bubble where if you had .com on your name, you were worth billion or millions or whatever, and then half of them crashed. And I'm not wanting this. I'm a huge AI fan. I love AI. We're investing in it in every area of our practice. But it does seem to be, I don't know, like everything right now, if you want money or you want loans or you want attention and you say, we're in AI, it's like, oh, you're in AI. Okay. And then suddenly your stock goes through the roof. I don't know.
Yeah, I would tell you this. Once again, this is a topic I'm not a subject matter expert in, but I would tell you that I wouldn't be judging AI whether or not they're making a dime. Because I like, for example, when Mark Cuban, made his billions, his company was never profitable for $1. And it's just a sick amount of multiple that these software companies are selling for without even being profitable, long before AI, So now ask me to explain that. I couldn't, but I do know that that's true. So that's interesting. But AI is really, I have two thoughts on it. Number one, it's making a lot of things easier and way more affordable. So for example, my company's website, our paid for subscription website, which is an LMS system, is 7.5 years old. We're redoing it as we speak. If I were to do what I'm doing today without AI being invented and being around 7.5 years ago, for example, it would have cost me 3 times more than what it's costing me now. But because AI is around, the programming, the developing, the designing doesn't have to be from scratch. These companies that are developing my new webpage are tapping into AI to do a lot of the work for them, which saves tons of time and makes it way more affordable. So I think AI is really helping us do some really creative things. My second thought is I remember way younger, I don't know, it was late 80s, when technology was getting advanced, that they were processing the idea of putting robots in auto manufacturing plants across the world.
Yeah.
And the whole public was saying, all people jobs are going to go, human jobs are going to be replaced by robots. And the automobile industry doesn't even need people anymore. And obviously, we all know that never came to fruition. So I think when people say things like AI is going to take away a lot of jobs and people aren't going to be needed and this, that, and the other is a huge exaggeration. I think it's going to assist people being better at their jobs, but not replace them.
Yeah, I think it's going to replace some. But I'm hoping it opens up opportunities in other places so that on the whole, jobs weren't lost. They were maybe shifted. The attention or the emphasis or the needs were shifted to another area. I've seen them. I don't know. It's affected some industries so far. I mean, shoot, we had just in one area, I'll say, I kind of want to be vague on this, but it took about 5 people to do 40 units, we'll say. With AI, one person could do 60 in a week.
Yeah,
So,
I believe that.
That right there is a job loss. However, you could say, well, now we need more sales so that we can get more of the things into the company. So it kind of shifted needs from one division to another division. So I don't know. We'll see how it all pans out. It's fascinating, and it's moving so fast.
But where I am a subject matter expert in is in my industry.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I'm a financial advisor and you're a potential client, you could easily say to me, why would I want to pay you, Jim? Why would I want to pay your fees? Why would I want to pay your commissions? I'm just going to take my entire net worth. and I'm going to put it into ChatGPT. I'm going to tell ChatGPT what my goals are. It will break down instantly how I should have it invested. And it doesn't cost me anything. What do I need you for? And what that really is a misunderstanding of the public is the fact that overall financial planning also has a huge emotional component to it that needs a human touch, because human beings make very irrational, stupid decisions all the time. And so that aren't logical. And so it's not just a matter of asset allocation and tax harvesting and rebalancing, but it's also like finding out from you, like, what does money mean to you? Like, what has been your challenge when it comes to saving money in the past? Where have you made mistakes? Why do you think you make those mistakes? And there's a human element for you feeling that first and foremost, I get to understand you, that I care about you, I care about helping you. And there are times where I got to hold you accountable and give you a kick in the ass. There's times where I can high five you, but you need a coach and you need a personal touch. And AI can't replace that.
That's right. I agree. I agree with you there. From the legal field too, I've had the same thing. Somebody could go on AI, enter some documents, and kind of spit out some of the legal documents that we do for people. But it's not. It doesn't. AI can, from what I've seen a lot of times, if you have maybe 10 steps in a process before you get to a final product, AI can do 7 of them. But those 3 that AI doesn't do, there's no way around it. You need a person in there to handle that part. So
absolutely. I mean, take that to this level. My wife and I just updated our estate planning. And we have an estate planning attorney, and the estate planning attorney added the human element. But what's important to you? What concerns you? All that kind of stuff. But I guarantee when that estate planning attorney went back to her office after we left, probably used a lot of AI to generate the documents that in the past she probably had to write up herself. So it made her job easier, but she had to ask the questions and be able to get understanding from me and my wife. But then she probably used AI to make her business more efficient.
Right. That's right. Yep. Very interesting. It's exciting. It's an exciting. Every time we delve into it, there's something new, and it's also tough to make decisions because there's so many different options right now. When we So let's say reception. There's so many options on what you can do with reception. Do you have just straight up AI who just does everything? That sounds okay, but it's not quite. We're not comfortable doing that yet. And then it can handle, like, maybe you can have a person and then have AI supplement that. And then there's different companies that do it in different ways. And I tell you, it's almost hard to make a decision sometime on which AI you're going to use, because once you decide one, there's another option that just became available that looks really interesting. And then there's another one that just became available, and it's like, damn it, I got to just make a decision and stick with it.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. All right, so you've done, all right, so we've talked about some of the investments and all. The sales training, these are your insurance salesmen that you were training?
Yeah.
Okay. And what are some tips, or like, how would you train a salesperson when they first came on board?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I could talk for hours on that, right? So
Yeah.
let me give you the Cliff Note version of it.
All right.
First and foremost, as salespeople, because they're human, are emotional creatures. And a really bad habit by salespeople across all industries is they wing it. In other words, what it is they do is based on how they feel at the moment or what they think about in the moment. And that's why they get roller coaster results. So the very first thing I think for a professional salesman or woman to realize is they got to embrace a system that helps them get out of their own way. So they got a process and a system as to how they go about it. And it's a very predictable outcome, and it's very consistent over a long-term period of time. So how do they go about making phone calls and making appointments? How do they go about asking for referrals and networking? How do they go about taking a fact finder and seeking to understand? How do they go about building a plan? How do they go about closing and implementing? How do they go about annual reviews and updating over time? So we teach a system that helps them get out of their own way and stop winging it. The second thing we help them understand is their way that they communicate is important. And so a lot of communication skills are taught in our training, where they need to come across confident. They need to come across as if They know how to build a relationship. They need to understand how to ask questions, to seek to understand. They need to learn how to talk a lot less. Salespeople talk too much.
Yes.
They need to learn how to ask better questions. They learn how to be better listeners. They need how to learn how to ask the question to the question to the question. In financial planning, for example, one of the goals to build a deep relationship is to seek how much you can know and learn about an individual that you can't find out on the internet. Like in seconds, I could find out what your house is worth. I could find out what you paid as a down payment for it. I could find out what your property taxes are. I could find out what you do for a living, relative good idea what you make, okay? But I can't find out about what you learned about money from observing your mom and dad when you're 8 years old. I can't find out about what you and your wife fight about when it comes to money. I can't find out a lot of things, right? And so in order to be a really effective financial advisor, you got to learn those things, and you're not going to learn them if you don't know how to ask and you don't know how to listen. And you got to build, at the end of the day, you have to build an implicit, trustworthy relationship that demonstrates that you authentically care and that you take a serious responsibility to help each one of your clients one at a time. And there's an art to doing that, and you can't fake that. So either you care or you need to get out of this business. But once you do care, you have to have a method to your madness and a system as to how you demonstrate it.
Do you have scripts?
I don't like that word, but I do teach people language in various different categories. So if you're asking for referrals, it's important how you ask for them. If you're phoning up somebody and asking to meet them for the first time, it's important how you do that.
How do you ask for referrals?
What's that?
How do you ask for referrals?
So if I was sitting down with you, Matt, at the end of the meeting, I'd say, hey, Matt, can I steal 5 more minutes of your time? You know that the blood of my business is favorable introductions, because if it wasn't for your best friend, Tom, you and I would have never met. But my team and I took a time and the liberty to do some research, and we've identified 3 people here in our community in Atlanta that we're really excited about meeting, and I'm fairly certain are in your world. And so as I share these 3 people with you, I just simply have 2 questions for you. Do you know them well, and would you introduce me?
Nice. Okay. That's good. That's a part of our practice. We used to be good at referrals. This is client referrals. Now, we get referrals from community and other businesses and all, but we're trying to get our client referral numbers back up. So anyway, you bring up referrals at a perfect timing, because we're training staff right now on how to say and when to say it and that kind of a thing.
Yeah, but like an example of that is I had no idea you were going to ask me to do that, right?
Yeah.
But I did it without even blinking an eye.
Sure.
Why? Because I've done it 20,000 times. I've practiced it. It's an important part of the business model. When I first meet financial advisors that come to our training workshops and I put them on the spot like you just did with me, they're terrible. They're super nervous. They're super uncomfortable. They're full of a bunch of ums and ahs.
Yeah.
And they're not good at it. And as you can imagine, getting referrals in this business, probably similar to yours, is a very important part of the business.
Yeah.
And you suck at how you ask for them, you're never going to be successful.
Right.
But yet reps don't practice. They don't get a system and practice it. I mean, think about how much time PGA Tour players practice 3-foot putts, or NBA players practice shooting free throws. Financial advisors don't practice how they ask for referrals. And that's insane.
That's insane. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, a lot of people feel, and this is with a bunch of different skills, that if they don't naturally have it, if it doesn't naturally come, then somehow it's not part of their genetic makeup or something. It's like you said, everybody's got to practice to get good at something.
Yeah, it's not like you're just born with it. But you asked me how I train. Another really, really, really big component of training is mindset. What do you believe? Because you either have one of 2 mindsets. You either have a mindset that's empowered and moves you forward, or you have a mindset that's full of a bunch of self-defeated thinking. So for example, you just asked me about how to ask for referrals. I gave you how I asked for it, but what's just as important, if not more important, is the step before that. What do I believe about that? Like before I even start asking you, where is my mind on that? And I'll give you the 2 examples. Self-defeated mindset is I feel as if I'm bothering you and I'm asking you to do me a favor.
Mm-hmm.
An empowered mindset is I feel like I'm about ready to give you an opportunity of a lifetime to change the financial security of the 2 or 3 people that are the most important to your life.
Right.
Am I coming from an empowered mindset or am I coming from a self-defeated mindset?
Right.
And how do I move that over to the right one? Because if I feel like I'm bothering you and I'm asking you for a favor, I'm defeated before I even ask.
Sure. And the empowered mindset, you're actually helping the person, so there's nothing to withdraw from or
Yeah,
resist, right?
yeah. But that's authentically. I mean, I don't just use that because it works. I don't use that because it's good language. I would tell you that if you ever met anybody that is happily married and they met their spouse through a blind date, that they remember who introduced them for the rest of their life. I believe I'm a really, really, really good financial advisor. And if you introduce me to your 3 best friends 20 years from now, they got their financial stuff tightened up and they got great systems and they feel great about their overall plan. They're going to remember that they met me from your introduction.
Right. Yep. Interesting.
That's our better.
Yeah, that's right. All right, man. Well, listen, let me ask you real quick before I let you go. What any prediction on the interest rates? I know
No
I'm
clue.
kind of switching up on you, no?
Nah.
You think now that if the rates go down though, that hurts bonds but helps stocks, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
My
We're working in
wife was
inverse
studying for
fashion.
one of this. I'm sorry.
And by the way, that's so important to have a diversified portfolio. You know, if you're all large cap growth and stuff like that happens in a big swing, it's going to be detrimental. But if you got it in 11 different asset classes, you're better positioned.
Right. Okay. Do you go if somebody says I'm aggressive, Jim, I want to make $1 million in 5 years or whatever. I don't know. Do you just you go all stocks on that? Or bonds aren't typically that aggressive, right?
First of all, you have to make sure that they know what that means. That's like asking
Right.
somebody who makes 100 grand a year, if you want to make $1 million a year, everybody's going to say yes. But then when you put the price tag on what it is they'd have to go through and deal with to do it, they might not feel it's that important anymore. So when people say to me, I'm aggressive, do they really understand what comes with that? Do they really have the stomach for that? Do they really understand what that really means? And after they do, although it might have sounded good to say they're aggressive because everybody wants to double their money. Who doesn't?
Right.
But are they okay dealing with the byproducts that come with having a massively aggressive approach to a portfolio and the potential detriment that can happen because of that?
And which would be losing all their money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, you're aggressive, but if you work your ass up and you build up X amount of net worth and, 6 months later, it's worth a third of that, what sort of detrimental damage does that do to your family and your situation?
Right.
What would be the compelling reason to take that risk?
Mm-hmm.
If you could grow by half of that, but ensure that the downside wouldn't be there, what would you be losing out of? You're just asking more questions. Really understand what people say at surface. It's like if I said, hey, Matt, it's important to be your planner. It's important that I understand what money means to you. So tell me, what does money mean to you? And you say, well, security, peace of mind, comfort, low stress, low anxiety. Then I would say in my mind, well, no shit. Everybody would say that. That doesn't tell me anything. I want to ask that question gets much deeper than that. What does it really mean to you? And how have your actions in the past been in alignment with what it means to you?
But what would a good
answer-
answer there mean? Like, give me an example of an impressive answer. You'd be like, okay, this guy knows. Is he going to tell you what he's going to do with his money? Like how he's going to use it for the benefit of himself or his family? Like,
Well, yes and no. What I think I'm trying to say, Matt, is that you and I learned a lot about money before we were 10 years old. Not by being sat down at the kitchen table and taught it, but just by what we observed, by how our parents behaved.
yeah,
And most people don't have a conscious level of awareness of that. And when I've asked over 1,000 people, I want you to go back to your earliest childhood memory and tell me, what is it that you learned about money by observing your mom and dad? I've had people in tears. I've had people have to really think about it. I've had people tell me incredibly empowering stories. I've had people tell me that they never knew that until I asked them. And then you can also put a direct connection to what they've done with their own money based on what they learned about money from a young age. And it's not logical. It's not rational. A lot of people make a lot of emotional decisions with money around things like insecurity. They utilize money to a detriment to portray an image of themselves so that people see them as more successful than they really are, and they bury themselves financially for an image. Ask a client why they do that.
Right.
Where does that come from? Do they understand that hurts them? How and when can they stop doing that? What's going to get in the way? If I'm your advisor, how can I help you with that? Because it's not healthy. It's not good.
No doubt.
And that's what AI can't do.
I'm sorry?
That's what AI can't do.
Yeah, that's right. What's a good percentage you would say of people using for investments? If they make, I don't know, do you have like a percentage that should be invested in the future, just set aside for that fund or whatever?
Are you asking me like what's a general good rule of thumb as to what to use as a long-term rate of return on my portfolio? Is that what you're asking?
No, not rate of return. More like, let's say a guy makes $100,000 a year. Should he be putting $20,000 aside for the future and keeping the 80 for now? Or do you have like
Okay. Yeah. General rule of thumb, 15%.
15.
True savings of adjusted gross income. So somebody making $100,000 a year should be saving 15 grand a year.
Gotcha. Yeah, that sounds good. Good deal. All right. Listen, my friend, Jim, it has been an honor talking with you. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. I congratulate you on all you've done. It's not easy. We didn't really go into a lot of. So tell me real quick, Effner Financial Group, you've had that for how long?
I had that for 15 years.
And you got 150 people there now?
Well, I sold it. I got out of it in June of 2015. But when I left,
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't see that on the document.
Yeah,
Okay.
my company now is P2P. That's probably why you said 27 years, because now I've owned P2P for 10. So that company was the Effner Financial Group affiliated with a company called Northwestern Mutual.
Yes.
And I was with them for 27 years. I sold that firm in Chicago, and I opened up P2P, which is the sales training company that I own now, and I've had that for 10 years.
I got you. Okay, cool. Yeah, I apologize. I may have misread this. It says, Jim Effner is a financial services speaker and a master sales trainer with 27 years of experience. But it may be, I don't know, that may be applying to something else. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, Jim, I appreciate your perspective and your advice and all. It's been very informative.
Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for coming. And everybody else, I hope you learned something. Take this information, invest, make your, put it there towards your future, and do it wisely. It's like Jim said, you got to kind of know how aggressive you want to be. Do you want to make a lot quickly but risk losing it all? Or do you want to keep it steady, slow, but, at a good rate of return? I don't know. That's why you depend on somebody like Jim to give you good advice so that 20 or 30 years later, you're sitting on a nice retirement fund. But I hope you learned something. Join us on the next Hines on Air. And always remember, if you enjoyed this episode, please comment and share this and click the like button, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you very much.
All right, Jim. Thank you too, my friend.